used in many forms of construction. The concern was firefighters and first responders lobby the state legislature to have some notification because those components don't hold up the same when they're wet, particularly in a fire response. It creates danger for firefighters and other first responders. So after much debate about advanced structural components, the legislature created this new act which requires our building commissioner to include in the application for our building permit whether a structure is going to have advanced structural components. If the commissioner receives an application and grants a permit for a structure that does contain those components, the building commissioner must within 90 days notify both the local fire department and the 911 call center of that fact. And then when calls are made to that residence, the 911 call center must notify and relay that information to the first responders so they're aware of what they're dealing with. So it makes it, this ordinance makes a change to the permit application section of your building code 150.06 in order to comply with the new law.
Okay. At this time, I entertain a motion for 2018-33.
So moved.
Second.
Have a motion and a second. Any discussion or questions? Anything from the audience? All in favor of 2018-33, signify by saying aye. Aye. All opposed? Motion passes. Next, Dan.
Ordinance 34 is an ordinance which would require quotes for public work projects under $50,000. The way the law had existed is that, of course, you have to bid public works projects of more than $150,000. And for projects in the range of $50,000 to $150,000, you were allowed to solicit 3 quotes and then use a quote where their bidding process, and that is much faster. Apparently somebody did something to make the legislature mad because we used to be able to use any method at all we wanted to use for projects that were considered small. Those were under $50,000 for public works projects. And now the legislature's decided that's a bad idea. So in this new law, it will require you to use quotes for any projects below $150,000, including a project of $1. And so you'll have to use that same procedure that you would for the $50,000 to $100,000 for all projects below $150,000. This will require, again, the solicitation of at least 3 persons known to do that, opening all quotes in a public meeting and read aloud, and then awarding of the contract to the lowest responsible and responsive quoter, just like you have done for the range of $50,000 to $150,000 in the past. So this probably will affect, your small projects that you would have, but that law, House Law like 1004 is now the law, so this brings your bidding provisions in your county code up to date.
How many quotes? They don't have a minimum number of quotes.
Now, you have to solicit quotes from 3 people known to work in that business, but how many you get is not regulated. If you get 1, you get 1. If you get 2, you
But
can.
you're going to solicit at least 3.
You just got to show documentation that you solicited 3 quotes. This time, I'd entertain a motion for 2018-34.
So moved. Second.
Have a motion and a second. Any question or discussion?
So that doesn't include emergencies or sourcing or?
Yeah, the exceptions for your bidding law, sole sourcing emergencies, only one company makes, has a certain process, those sorts of things still apply. It just doesn't allow you to just call an excavator to fix a $3,000 drainage problem anymore. Just because you know that guy does the work, you have a relationship with him, it just eliminates that.
So what about so there's no need for having an annual bid? Or how hourly work or things like that, is there?
Well, this applies only to public works projects, so your annual bids, which are mainly the provision of supplies, is different. This is not a purchasing change, this is only to do with public projects. So if you have to be building something, but still, your annual bids for gravel and sand and oil and all that would still be the normal way of doing business.
Well, I understand it, and I guess I have been a proponent of having yearly bids for small projects, but that's out the window now. That's what you're saying.
We can still do it with engineering and architecture. You know, the design part of that or on-call engineering is still fine because that's not construction. But for construction, yes, there'll be no need for that because you won't have that.
Thanks, Dan.
Any other questions or discussion? Questions from the audience?
So,
Basically like this is like Light Creek that we're trying to get done, now I've got to bid it. So now instead of having a contractor out there get it done, you know, now I've got to bid it, now it takes 3 months, and now it's going to be spring before I can fix that.
And it costs money too to advertise it?
Yeah.
So,
but you can just solicit Steve Jones as an example on the engineering side, is that right?
Mhm.
Well, yeah, you could, or if you know of 3 contractors who can do it, you don't have to bid it, you can get quotes.
Okay.
So it is a much shorter process. You just have to mail or email the request for quotes. You have to allow them at least 7 days to work on that before it's due. So it isn't like, you know, bidding is 60 days minimum, could be more depending on the size of the project, but it does take longer. I mean, my guess is that the commissioners made somebody mad and they knew the state legislature. I mean, that's the only thing I can figure because this has been the law for a long, long time, and this is a really unusual change because there's no minimum. It could be $1. You're still required to do this. So this was kind of a surprising change, but here you go. So quoting is a little more streamlined, but still not nothing.
So
So,
I have to advertise.
not a quote, you don't have to.
don't have to advertise, but you do have to prepare a request for a quote and
Right.
have your specs and what you need done. It's you know, it's not as easy as just talking to the person. It'll be more work for our public works people, no question about it.
So if we keep it at quotes, then that will save us the advertising expense.
It'll save time.
Right. Anything else from,
Well, the reason I asked about the engineering side is Jim's already laid out 2 or 3 engineering firms that he wants to work with on specific projects. You're saying engineering is not under this?
Correct. Professional services, what we call them, you and Steve, professional services. That's different.
We don't apply.
That's right. The idea there is, and this isn't, some people can argue about this, but I mean, the idea about professional services is they're not all created the same, they have different expertise. Some are better than others. Steve's here today, so let's say he's the best. But the idea is commissioners are free to choose who they want for that side. But the concept of the state legislature is, and this is where I'd say is not true, but is that the guys who do the work though, the guys who actually do building, they're all the same apparently. They're all the same. And so it's just like, you know, when we have paving projects, I think Jim would tell you that they're not all the same, but guess what? We have to take the low bid, it doesn't matter what kind of work they do, you know, and so in an effort to save taxpayer money, they've created this bidding system which produces some results that we might not like. But that's the way it is, so.
Okay.
If
anything
Steve
else?
weren't here, he wouldn't be the best today.
I'll say one thing for Steve, not too many of our engineering firms can say they've called in the same county since 1982, Steve.
It's been a long time.
Yeah, so,
25 to 30 years.
anyway, anything else from the public? Mark?
But the emergency repairs, is that technically a public work project or is it not? Emergency repairs.
Well, emergencies are an exception to the bidding law.
Okay.
So, yeah, if we have an emergency and the courthouse roof falls off, yes, you can just go get it done. That is an exception. There are, I think there are about 10 exceptions. But yeah, we can still, I just had to do one of those. I just had a well mitigation emergency. I had to tell the client, hey, you can do whatever you want to do because IDEM says do it tomorrow. So there are some exceptions, but yes, those same exceptions that we've always had still apply to this, but if those exceptions don't apply, then we have this procedure.
So you have water lines, furnaces, that sort of thing
Right.
that you need to act on quickly.
I think garages burned down or something. All right,
That's a good example. You declared an
Right.
emergency for that.
Yeah. I like that better than the roof coming off, because that's already happened and done, so. Anything else from the public? Call for the question. All in favor of 2018-34, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion passes 3-0. We're on to drug testing.
Yes, the state legislature also passed House Enrolled Act 1004, which imposed some more rules on your bidding procedure. This section now says that for all public works projects estimated by the county to be at least $150,000, a new section of the bid package will have to be proof that the bidder has in place an employee drug testing policy and program, and that must be submitted at the time of the bid. And if the bid doesn't contain that information, then you, as the commissioners, are not allowed to award bids to those companies. Now, this only applies to projects above $150,000, which that's the bidding threshold, so it won't apply to quotes. But again, this is an effort to try to deal with the ongoing drug problem we have, and again, broaden that drug testing. You already have this requirement on yourselves, so it's really going to say that anyone who's going to do significant work for you must also do that for their employees.
So what if their employees fail the drug test? It doesn't say anything about that.
They just have to have a program.
Have a program.
Yeah,
But it has to be successful. It's a program.
if they have employees, they must have.
Make a motion to approve 2018-35.
Second.
Got a motion, a second. Any questions or discussion? Anything from the audience? All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed?
Ordinance 36 is, deals with the bond administration fund. As you recall from the introduction, the judges have a balance in the bond administration fund. The new law requires that those funds be deposited in the supplemental public defender services fund. So although the clerk currently puts money into that public defender services fund, there is this old balance in the bond administration fund which needs to be moved over to that. Now, there has been a change, as you know. Judge Barajas was here and noted that, along with Jennifer, that there are bills that need to be paid for 2018 because this money was budgeted for 18 to do certain things, primarily to support the Montgomery County Drug Court. So there's a change to this ordinance since you saw it last, and that is that it makes it clear that now you are authorizing the auditor to transfer those funds on or before December 31, 2018, after all 2018 drug court expenses have been paid. And I sent that change to both Jennifer and to Judge Barajas, and they approved that. So this would help the auditor as she cleans up that balance and moves it to a new account.
This time I'd entertain a motion for 2018-36.
So moved.
Second.
Have a motion and a second. Any questions or discussion? All I'll say is you better do it because Terry and I both witnessed in court one day that somebody about went to jail over it, didn't they? So, she didn't even phase her, look at her, she's not even nervous. Any questions from the audience? All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. All opposed? Motion passes 3-0. And the last one being the establishing HMEP's conference grant fund.
Yes, you were notified by Emergency Management that they had received a grant that would, from the Indiana Department of Homeland Security, which would allow for expenses related to training for hazardous materials emergency preparedness, HMEP. So this would create a fund that would house those grant funds. And it would create the fund and outline the use of the funds consistent with the grant. And this would be a non-reverting fund, it would be a standalone grant fund.
This time I'd entertain a motion for 2018-37.
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any questions or discussion? Anything from the audience? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Passes 3-0. That'll be it under the old business. Moving on to new business. Under A, we have Resolution 2018-15, setting a date for the SRI Commissioner Certificate sale. I'm sorry? And rates. Anything else with that, Dan?
No, the resolution, which you see every year, just says that we need to get these properties back from the tax roll. They've been through regular tax sale and have not sold. And so you're left with these properties which the law says you have a lien on, and you can now sell commissioners' tax certificates and try to get them back on the tax rolls.
So what's the recommendation as far as date?
She's got a date picked.
Oh, you,
Yeah,
February.
Valentine's Day next year.
Yeah,
It's a long summer.
come and buy your wife's property.
there you
So,
go. I'll make a motion to approve the SRI Commissioner Certificate.
Second.
we have a motion and a second to approve the Resolution 2018-15. We will need to set the rates at some point on this, and I think in the past, Jennifer's always recommended that we have $75 to cover the advertising expense.
Yeah,
And then there might be a few, we just have to look them over, there might be a few that we want to address separately, but we can do that between now and then. So, any questions or discussion on 2018-15?
I will need that list soon
Yeah.
because we have to start advertising.
Right. Yep. The treasurer seems to think she has something back here. You want money, right?
Yeah, yeah, we'll take one. I just wanted to bring up that, we kind of got in this situation,
She can't hear you up here.
okay, we kind of got in this situation once before where we had a ton of Lake Holiday lots that were going up for tax sale each time, and historically, especially the unbuildables, they don't sell very well. So I just wanted to let you guys know that in October, when we had the sale, there was like 20 lots that were on there, and one sold. So we have 19 that are left that will be set to go to this commissioner sale. So I know at one time there was some kind of a deal that was worked out with Lake Holiday to try to get that number down. I don't know whether that's something that you guys would want to consider, because, you know, each time they go on the sale, you know, you're spending the 75 bucks on it, whether it sells or not. So 19, that's like $1,425, which in the whole scheme of things may not seem like that much, but if you're doing it every single time and, you know, they're not selling, then it's just kind of money that's there that's being spent. So I just wanted to let you guys know about that.
That was going to be my recommendation, to work with Dan and see if we could get that agreement set up like we did Lake Holiday, where we put it back in their lap for, I forget what they gave us. They gave us a set fee for, or set amount for each, $50 for each lot or something like that, so.
I mean, I think that was a good deal at the time.
Right,
So,
so
yeah.
we'll definitely work on that again to see if we can get them back in them and get something out of them anyway.
Okay, thanks.
You want to distribute that list out to them, Jim? Sure. Thank you. Let's see, did we move? Anything else from the public? All in favor of Resolution 2018-15, signify by saying aye. Aye. All opposed? Motion passes 3-0. Under B, that is going to be tabled to our next meeting, I believe,
Yep.
and or our second meeting in December, one or the other. Next up is C, infrastructure development zone discussion.
Yeah, the As you know, the Redevelopment Commission and the Regional Sewer District have been working on a plan to provide water services along the Newport Road area. And Jim Peck mentioned this earlier. And there are two scenarios right now that are playing out. One would be that the district would be the water utility and the RDC would fund the construction and would do a phase one water facility, which would cost about $1.6 million. As part of that process, the Redevelopment Commission has also entered into discussions with Indiana American Water regarding whether they would be willing to provide that, since they have a facility very close to the area. And they've indicated that they're willing to do so, and negotiations are ongoing, and we're not for sure how that will work out. But one of the things that has come up is that Indiana American Water can only provide those facilities if the commissioners create an infrastructure development zone. And this is a statute that allows private utilities to partner with governments to provide utilities for underserved or unserved areas for the purpose of economic development. Essentially what it does, it allows the government to go to the utilities who already have assets nearby, also who have more money than we do, and allow them to pay for the construction rather than the local government. So there have been some negotiations and ongoing discussions, but it's at least serious enough that now the Redevelopment Commission and the Sanitary District need to know whether you, the commissioners, would be willing to create such a zone so that they can continue to have conversations with Indiana American Water, because if you are not willing to do that, then they'll just stop that right now. So what I've done for you is just lay out the concept for you, what the law says about the creation of that. There's an entire process involved, a public hearing and so forth, just like many of your ordinances have. But all you need to do today is try to decide whether you can give direction to the Sanitary District and the Redevelopment Commission that you would grant such a zone if the negotiations lead to that point. And I prepared this memo for you, and I'll be happy to answer any questions.
And your recommendation to us is, this is the step we need to take. You would recommend we take this step?
I do, and that's because I don't know whether you'll ultimately ever establish or create the zone. I don't know, because I don't know how the negotiations will go with Indiana American Water. What we know is that if you aren't willing to do this, then Indiana American Water cannot do it. They can't do it for you. And so, yes, I think what you should do is signal to the commission and the Regional Sewer District that you would be willing to support them. If that's where the negotiations lead, you will support them and be ready to do your part. Now, as you know, even after you if you were to create that zone, it still then all has to go through the IURC. Indiana American Water doesn't have the legal authority to extend their services unless the IURC says so. And so there's still a whole process that takes place at the state level. But you have to essentially, if the commission and the district reach some agreement with Indiana American Water and they decide that's the best thing for us here, it has a private utility doing it rather than the government paying for it. It does two things. One, it frees up money from the TIF instead of the county essentially paying the 1.6 the utility does. But secondly, it probably allows the whole thing to get done faster, because they're of course already nearby. They already have water facilities, so it's probably good. But if you were to pass that down the road and request that they provide it, then there's still both regulatory, territorial determinations that have to be made and rates and charges determinations that have to be made. And again, but I do think that the early negotiations are promising enough that we're at the stage where now we need to know how you guys feel about it.
I would agree with that. I know from the redevelopment commission standpoint, that whole board is supportive of this direction. I would recommend that commissioners move this direction, support this.
I agree.
You don't need a motion, I think we just need to know that if they come back to you, you'd be willing to take action.
Thanks, Dan.
Thank you.
Next up, we're down to D, the earth exploration. Jim talked about proposal for professional service evaluation subdivision condition, or subsurface conditions. Amount of $9,142, correct?
Yes.
And that is, would take a motion to approve that fee of $9,142.
I make the motion to approve the earth exploration quote of $9,142.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion or questions that Jim hadn't already touched on? Anything from the public? Terry?
Where was this at?
Jim?
Jim?
This was Overcoat Road.
Are you familiar with that one?
I am. I've almost been over there.
So, anything else? All in favor of the approval of 9,142, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed? The motion passes 3-0. Next up is the USI Consultants Engineering Study, County Road 100 West, into New Market from 500 South, in the amount of $28,300. At this time,
Approved.
Second.
okay, we have a motion and a second. Any comments or questions?
I think we've all been, talked a lot about this
This has
road.
been going on for 4 or 5 years.
Been-
Questions from the public about it.
This is definitely probably one of the most called on roads that we get on a yearly basis, and it does come a lot from the school corporation. Big majority of the buses leave New Market School and head north on that road, and if you've ever drove before and you're in a school bus, it is a very narrow road, and if you happen to pass a farm truck or another school bus or something to that effect, it's a situation that we don't want to really be in, and we've been in it long enough, and it's time to get something fixed here. Anything from the audience? Okay, all in favor of the $28,300 agreement for County Road 100 West, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed? That motion passes 3-0. Next up is the 2018 notice to bidders for annual highway bids.
I have them all there. I need it back.
I know that's not you talking, I know where that came from.
You're right.
Yeah, you know exactly right. Basically, this covers all of our annual materials that we use. The pipes, the gravel, stone, steel, all the materials we use out on the roads. So,
By the
guardrail,
13th of December. Bids back by the 13th of December.
that's what I'd like.
I make the motion, we authorize the highway department to advertise for bidders for 2019.
Second.
Have a motion and a second. Any questions for discussion? Anything from the audience? All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed? You got to get that signed, you need that back.
Thank you.
And then last under new business is the United Consulting Agreement replacement of Bridge 79, which is 100 West over Black Creek. I'd entertain a motion for approval of that agreement with United Consulting.
So moved.
Second.
Have a motion and a second.
How much was that?
It's going to be $282,775. Any discussion or questions? Anything from the audience?
One thing just to point out,
From the audience? No, I'm just kidding.
in that contract, there is a line item for $70,100 that is for basically part-time inspection that basically will assist me during the construction, so that will not be expended next year, it'll be the following year once we get out of construction.
Okay. Anything else? All in favor of the contract with United Consultings for Bridge 79, $282,775, signify by saying aye. Aye. All opposed? Motion passes 3-0. With that being said, Jennifer, you want to give your explanation?
Sure.
I think.
You were wanting the per pay.
Yeah. Tell us what it would be for the month of December.
For the month of December, there are 2 pays, and the total dollar amount, if you gave the employees a break on their insurance premiums, would be $23,970.40.
It's about half what we thought.
So the whole month is,
That just 2 pays, yeah. And then there are 2 pays in January also. I mean, if you're looking to go more towards the 50,000 number, it would be all of the pay days in December and January would get you up to $47,940.80.
back to your idea, Phil.
I'll change my motion to include January.
That's amendment second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second amended to change it to December and January in the amount of $47,000. Does that create any problems, Jen? 2 different years?
I mean, it just, it's okay. If you were going back and forth, you know, that would create a problem. Leaving it that way for 2 months is.
Okay. I guess all I'll add in the comments is that I'll agree with it, with the understanding that the 47,000 is correct. I'm not,
Yeah.
I want to make sure we don't put ourselves into jeopardy here. I agree with somewhat with what
I
Terry
want that
says.
94,000.
Right.
If it's 94, it's
So-
no.
Right, the
Because the 47,000 figure was gave to me by the insurance company, so that's why, right? Yeah, keep on.
I think that's I mean, that might be the combined amount of the commissioner side and the employee side. But the report that I had run, this is a list of all the employees and everything they pay, paid on the last payroll, actually. And it came to $11,985.20. So,
I guess I would just ask that you guys maybe include in your motion a second not to exceed the number she gave of 47,000.
I'll include that.
well, I'm just gonna say, it's open enrollment time. If somebody goes from being an employee only to adding their family to the plan, then that will change their premium amount. You know, this is a moving target, so something to consider.
What you could do to solve this problem, I think, is you could ask the auditor to get